if Don McGahn in 2018 said no, and Eric Siebert in 2025 said, no, I refuse to do this, and Pam Bondi allows it to happen on her watch, and Lindsay Halligan signs off on it, what does it say about the independence of this Justice Department?
This Justice Department has no independence from the president, and Pam Bondi has already made that clear. She sent a memo to the entire workforce on her first day in office saying, we all work for Donald Trump. She believes this is an army of lawyers that amount to Donald Trump's personal law firm. If she were to sign off on this case, on this prosecution moving forward, that would be alarming. But honestly, either way, the situation that we're at really is a crisis. There is a 5-alarm fire racing through the Justice Department. And at this point, we are counting on career people with integrity and political appointees who may have some integrity to stand up for what's right and not let the whole place burn down.
Right. I mean, and I think part of what we have to also acknowledge, Ken, is that that 5-alarm fire is going to reach the feet of about a dozen ordinary Americans who might be impaneled on that grand jury. If they say what folks inside the Justice Department have said, there is no there, and they reject this indictment, what happens then?
Well, yeah, they'll return what's called a no true bill, and I assume that we will find that. And, you know, it's interesting. Those are incredibly rare. I was talking to somebody who said the last time that happened in the Eastern District of Virginia was back in like 1993, involving Rob, the former governor. But we've seen an increasing number of those happening in both in Los Angeles and in Washington, where regular grand jurors, and these are often retired people who come in and spend a lot of time reviewing these cases, they've just been rejecting the cases that have been brought to them by Trump Justice Department prosecutors. We saw it with the man who threw the sandwich at the law enforcement officer in D.C. They refused to indict that as a felony case. So you could see something like that happening here. I would just caution, though, that grand jury is a prosecutor's tool. They're only hearing evidence from the prosecution. And this is not Washington. This is the Eastern District of Virginia. So I don't think we should count on the idea of grand jurors standing up to this and saying no. I wouldn't rule it out, though. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Tyler, I want to just turn to the political element, all of this. You got some new polling out. It shows 54% of adults think it is unacceptable for the president to direct the Department of Justice to investigate political opponents. That includes 30% of Republicans. Actually, surprised those numbers are not higher, if we're all going to be honest here. In your reporting, when you are talking to Republicans on Capitol Hill, what is their general sense? Like, I get that the president is on Truth Social saying, my folks are mad that not more has been done. My base wants to see more action. Where are Republicans on the Hill on this question of the president brazenly going after his political opponents?
Look, I think it's divided, and I think it's important to remember that Donald Trump very clearly said he was going to do this. He ran for president again, saying, I am your retribution, and he tied his own personal fate when he was facing multiple criminal trials as a candidate for president with that of his supporters. So this is not necessarily a surprise. He promised to do this very thing when he was running for president. Now, I think, just like the Republican Party, there is divides on Capitol Hill about this. There are some Republicans who are fully supportive of the president. They say that the Biden Justice Department weaponized the government against Trump by investigating him for January 6th and the classified documents. And so this is just Trump doing what Biden did. Obviously, these are very different cases and scenarios. It was Merrick Garland and the Justice Department that was pursuing these cases, and Joe Biden was very studiously trying to keep an arm's reach from that. But I think there's also Republicans who are deeply concerned about the politicization of the Justice Department and the way in which Donald Trump is overtly telling the Attorney General what she should do. And when he's not getting the results that he wants, he's replacing those individuals. So, I think it's important to remember that this is not new from Donald Trump, but I think the way in which it's playing out is in some ways much more public and brazen than some people might have expected.
Ken, the Eastern District of Virginia is also handling the investigation into New York AG Letitia James. And I wonder, one, sort of the status of that case, but also the interplay between these two, right? If they take Comey to a grand jury and they are just laughed out of there and they do not secure an indictment, does that change their thinking moving forward on something like the James investigation?
One would think so. I mean, that if this grand jury no bills on the James Comey case, that would be a stunning rebuke to the Justice Department and to Donald Trump and to the White House. And it should teach them the lesson. Whether it will is another question, because the James case also has problems. And again, you know, it's a situation where they would have to prove criminal intent, that she made, that she intentionally lied on these mortgage forms, not just made a mistake or not just misinterpreted or was given bad advice by a mortgage broker. And that is a high hurdle. And these regular Americans who sit on these grand juries, they know that. They've all filled out mortgage documents, many of them. And so, yeah, I think it would be, it might give them pause. But then again, look, there's a long list of Donald Trump's political enemies that are under investigation by the Justice Department or other Trump administration entities right now. And we're talking about John Bolton, John Brennan, the former CIA director, potentially President Obama, and then lesser known names like Chris Krebs and Miles Taylor. So this is a pattern and practice of the Trump administration. They are going after Donald Trump's political enemies using the tools of government, and it's not clear that any one setback is going to stop them from doing that. And I just want to make one more point to emphasize what Tyler said. The idea that there's any equivalence between what's happening with this Justice Department and the politicization and the interplay with the White House and what happened in the Biden administration is the big lie. Because I covered all those Donald Trump special counsel investigations, and they were conducted by career prosecutors and career FBI agents who had no contact whatsoever with anybody on the political side. And the Republicans who have made charge after charge that it was weaponized, they have produced not a scintilla of evidence to back that up. No email, no meeting, no message between somebody in the Biden White House and anybody involved in those investigations that showed political influence over them. It just doesn't exist. Even though millions of people believe it and right-wing media has been hammering it forever, it's just not factual.